Hello, welcome to CET 4884 Security Methods and Practice. In this session, we will learn about management's responsibilities and role in the development, maintenance, and enforcement of information security policy, standards, practices, procedures, and guidelines. We will also learn that different organizations have different information security needs. We will know what an information security blueprint is and what's major components are. We will discuss how all organizations disseminate their policies and standards through education, training, and awareness programs. The creation of an information security program begins with reviewing and analyzing the current organization's information security in place, including policies, standards, and practices. After the review, the organization can create or select an information security architecture. At that point, the development of a detailed information security blueprint will assist in creating a successful security plan. It's the management's responsibility to develop and shape the proper policy and use the security blueprint to plan for company's success. The organizational plan created using the blueprint will be translated into strategic plan or plans. The strategic plans will be translated into tactical objectives with specific, measurable, achievable, and time-bounded accomplishments. The tactical planning focuses on shorter-term objectives. Actually, it breaks down the strategic goal into a series of incremental objectives specific to a division or a department. The Chief Information Security Officer and the Security Manager use the tactical plan to organize, prioritize, and acquire resources necessary for security projects. Managers and employees use operation plans that are derived from tactical plans to organize daily tasks. Upper management has a set of responsibilities and practices with the goal of providing a strategic direction to ensure that objectives have been achieved. These set of responsibilities and practices are called information security governance. Governance ensures that risks are managed properly and verifies that companies' resources are used responsibly. The main 5 outcomes of information security governance are strategic alignment of information security with business strategy to support organizational objectives, managing risk through executing the proper measures to manage and mitigate threats to information systems, managing resources by utilizing information security blueprint and architecture, measuring performance by monitoring and reporting information security governance metrics to ensure the organizational objectives are achieved, and delivering value by optimizing information security investments in supporting organizational objectives. It's recommended to follow a well-established security governance framework to ensure successful outcomes. Management from all communities of interest must consider policies as the basis for all information security planning, design, and deployment. In general, policies direct how issues should be addressed and technologies used, not cover the specifics on the proper operation of equipment or software. Quality security programs begin and end with policy. As information security is primarily a management rather than a technical problem, policy guides personnel to function in a manner that will add to the security of its information assets. Security policies are the least expensive control to execute but the most difficult to implement. Shaping policy is difficult because it must never conflict with laws, stand up in court if challenged, and be properly administrated, including thorough dissemination of documentation from personnel showing they have read the policies. What's the definition of a policy? A policy is a plan or course of action that is used by the organization to deliver or distribute instructions from the management to the company's employees. Policies are organizational law. Basically, this is exactly what it is. It's the laws for the organization. So policies must contain information on what is right and what is wrong, and what are the penalties for violating policy, and what are the appeal process, or what will be the appeal process after that. So standards, on the other hand, are more detailed statements of what must be done to comply with policy. Practices, procedures, and guidelines effectively explain how to comply with the policy. For a policy to be effective, it must be properly disseminated, read, understood, and agreed to by all members of the organization and equally enforced. Management defines three types of security policy: general or security program policy, issue-specific security policies, systems-specific security policies. Enterprise Information Security Policy, or EISP, is also known as the General Security Policy or IT Security Policy or Information Security Policy. This policy sets the strategic direction, scope, and tone for all security efforts within the organization. The EISP is an executive level document, usually drafted by or with the CIO of the organization, and it's usually 2 to 10 pages long. When the EISP has been developed, the CISO begins forming the security team and initiates the security system development life cycle process. The EISP contains an overview of the corporate philosophy on security. It will contain information on the structure of the information security organization and individuals who fulfill the information security role. It will fully articulate responsibilities for security that are shared by all members of the organization: employees, contractors, consultants, partners, and visitors. And it will fully articulate responsibilities for security that are unique to each role within the organization. As the organization executes various technologies and processes to support routine operations, certain guidelines are needed to instruct employees to use these technologies and processes properly. In general, the issue-specific security policy, or the ISSP, it addresses the ISSP, or the issue-specific security policy. It addresses specific areas of technology, requires frequent updates, and contains an issue statement on the organization's position on any of the issues within the organization. There are a number of approaches towards creating and managing the ISSP, or the issue-specific security policy, within an organization. The three most common approaches are create a number of independent ISSP documents, each tailored to a specific issue, create a single comprehensive ISSP document attempting to cover all issues, or create a modular ISSP document that unifies policy creation and administration while maintaining each specific issue's requirements. The main components of the issue-specific policy are statement of policy, authorization or authorized access and usage of equipment, the prohibited use of equipment, the system management, violations of policy, policy review and modifications, and limitations of liability. While issue-specific policies are formalized as written documents distributed to users and agreed to in writing, system-specific policies are frequently organized as standards and procedures used when configuring or maintaining systems. System-specific policies fall into groups. The two groups are access control lists, which consist of the access control lists matrix or matrices and capability tables governing the rights and privileges of practical of a particular user to a particular system. So we are specifying exactly who uses what. For the second one, or the second group, we have configuration rules comprise the specific configuration codes entered into security systems to guide the execution of the system. The access control list policy allows configuration to restrict access from anyone and anywhere, and it will regulate who can use the system, what authorized users can access, when authorized user can access the system, and where authorized user can access the system from. The rule policies are more specific to the operation of a system than ACLs, which is the access control lists, and they may or may not deal with users directly. Many security systems require specific configuration scripts telling the systems that actions to perform on each set of information they process. It has to be specific to what can be done through that configuration or through that system. Once we have these policies, we need to start managing them, and the policies are considered living documents that must be managed and nurtured. They are constantly changing and growing. These documents must be properly disseminated and read, distributed. They must be comprehended. All this information is very important for the policy. We need to ensure that employees are reading the distributed policy or the disseminated information. So there are special considerations that should be made for the organization undergoing mergers or takeovers and partnerships. If two companies are merging, we have two policies in place. It needs to be merged. At that point, there should be special consideration on how can we merge the two policies, how would that work. The same happens if a company takes over another company. Now they are enforcing their policy instead of the other company's policy, and so on. So all these is are the very important issues that will pop up as a management required process. So the management has to know how to understand and disseminate these policies once they are merged or being acquired by another company. In order to remain viable, these policies must have an individual responsible for reviews, a schedule of reviews, a method for making recommendations for reviews, and an indication of policy and revision date. automated policy management makes it more easy, but the problem that we don't have that thing right now. So there is an emergence of a new category of software for managing information security policies. During the recent year, the automation of policy management has emerged in response to the need to articulate the information security policies and procedures, and it's a need for the practitioners to to make sure that it's easier to manage and to change frequently. While there have been many software products that meet specific technical controls needs, there is now a need for software to automate some of the busy work of policy management, which will make it easy for the managers or the policy managers and the upper management. One approach to selecting a methodology is to adapt or adopt a published model or framework for information security. A framework is a basic skeletal structure within which additional detailed planning of the blueprint can be placed as it's developed or redefined or refined. Experience teaches us that what works well for one organization may not precisely fit another. That's why we have at least the skeleton, and then we can build the details within the skeleton to fit the new organization or to fit our organization. One of the most widely referenced and often discussed security models is the Information Technology Code of Practice for Information Security Management, which was originally published as the British Standards BS 7799. This code of practice was adopted as an international standard by the International Organization for Standardizations, ISO, and the International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC. And it's been renamed to ISO/IEC 17799. That was in the year 2000 as a framework for information security. So the ISO IEC 17799 includes the following. The organizational security policy is needed to provide management direction and support for information security. Organizational security infrastructure objectives is manage information security within the company, maintain the security of organizational information processing facilities and information assets accessed by third parties, maintain the security of information when the responsibility for information processing has been outsourced to another organization, and also it includes the asset classification and control that is needed to maintain appropriate protection of corporate assets and to ensure that information assets receive an appropriate level of protection. The standard or the framework includes also personnel security objectives, which reduces risk of human errors, theft, fraud, or misuse of facilities. It ensures that users are aware of information security threats and concerns and are equipped to support the corporate security policy in the course of their normal work. It minimizes the damage from security incidents and malfunctions and learn from such incidents. Also, the policy includes the physical and environmental security objectives. which prevent the unauthorized access or damage and interference to business premises and information. It also prevents loss, damage, or compromise of assets and interruption to business activities. It prevents compromise or theft of information and information processing facilities. The policy also, or the framework, includes communication and operations management objectives. And there are lots of objectives like that. You can read the book to know the communication and operations management objectives. There are also, it includes the system access control objectives in this area. It will include the system development and maintenance objectives. It will include business continuity planning to counteract interruptions to business activities and to critical business processes from the effect of major failure or disasters. It will include compliance objectives, which are the different objectives to be or to comply with the law or to protect the company. Again, you can look at the framework and the component of the framework in the book in details. In 2005, the ISO/IEC released the 27001 or 27001 standard security model that has 4 steps cycle: plan, do, check, and act. In the planning phase, it defines the scope of the information security management system. It defines also the information system or information security management system policy. It defines the approach to risk assessment. It identifies the risks. It will assess the risks. It will identify and evaluate options for the treatment of risk. It will select control objectives and controls, and it will prepare a statement of applicability. In the do phase, it will formulate a risk treatment plan. It will implement the risk treatment plan. It will implement controls. It will implement training and awareness programs, manage operations, manage resources, and implement procedures to detect and respond to security incidents. In the check phase, it will execute monitoring procedures. It will undertake regular reviews of the ISMS effectiveness. It will review the level of residual and acceptable risk. It will conduct internal ISMS audits. It will undertake regular management review of the ISMS, and it will record actions and events that impact the ISMS. In the act phase, it will implement identified improvements. It will take corrective or preventive action or actions. It will apply lessons learned. It will communicate results to interested parties, and it will ensure improvements achieved or achieve objectives. This table shows the series of current and planned standards from 2005 up to 2009, and we can see the changes or the topics that this series addresses. Another approach available is described in the many documents available from the Computer Security Resources Center of National Institute for Standards and Technology, NIST. These are among the references cited by the government of the US when deciding not to select the ISO/IEC 17799 standards. So you can use another standard, which are the standards from NIST, and we have NIST SP 812, 814, and 818 as standards. The 12 addresses the Computer Security Handbook. It is the handbook which is an excellent reference and guide for the security managers and administrators in the routine management of information security. The 14 addresses the generally accepted principles and practices for securing IT systems, provides best practices and security principles that can direct the development of security blueprint. And 818 is a guide for developing security plans for IT systems, which is considered the foundation for a comprehensive security blueprint and framework. It provides detailed methods for assessing, designing, and implementing controls and plans to apply various sized applications. The NIST SP 814 generally accepted principle and practice has lots of security framework components that will assist the company to create their security or to implement their security systems. For example, the security should support or supports the mission of the organization. Security is an integral element of sound management. It should be cost effective. Security owners have security responsibilities outside their own organizations. Security responsibilities and accountability should be made explicit. Security requires a comprehensive and integrated approach, and security should be periodically reassessed. Security is constrained by social factor or societal factor, and there are like 33 principles used for securing the system. You can look at table 5.7 to get those 33 principles. So all these are basis or framework for us to start building our own security for our organization. So any organization would like to follow these standards or would like to follow this framework, it will be the skeleton to build upon or to put the details in once it's in place. While no specific architecture is promoted through the Internet Engineering Task Force, the Security Area Working Group acts as an advisory board for protocols and areas developed and promoted through the Internet Security Task Force. And we have the RFC 2196, and that Site Security Handbook that provides an overview of 5 basic areas of security with detailed discussions on development and implementation. And there are chapters on such important topics as security policies, security technical architecture, security services, and security incident handling. All these can be considered as frameworks. So you can use the ISO, you can use the NIST, and you can use the Internet Engineering Task Force frameworks to assist you in building your security within the organization. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, you can email it to me, or you can use any of the communication channel. I think all the information is there, but if you need any help, I would be more than glad to assist. That will be all. Thank you and have a great day.